Hello and welcome to the Lund University International Podcast. On the show, you'll hear from current students, alumni, teachers, and many more special guests as we explore what it's really like to live and study in Lund. My name is Maria Lindblad, and I am a recruitment manager here at Lund University. Today, we're diving into one of the most important topics for prospective students, the application process. So whether you are planning to apply or you're currently working your way through an application, we have some valuable insights here for you today from some current international students who've already gone through the process themselves. They will share some of their personal experiences, motivations, and challenges when they applied to Lund University. And we'll learn a little bit more on why they chose Lund, how they decided on their program, and the steps that they took to successfully complete their application. We will also hear some specific tips on how to write the perfect statement of purpose, how to navigate the whole program choices and program rankings, and how to make the most of the resources that are available to you. So anyway, let's dive in here and ask our guests what they wish they had known before applying. So welcome, Megan, and welcome, Bénédicte.
Hey.
Let's start with some introductions. Who are you? Where are you from? What are you studying?
Yes, so I'm Bénédicte, and I have recently finished the Master's in Development Studies. So it's still quite fresh, the application process and tips to succeed. So I'm happy to be here today. I'm from Mauritius.
Yeah, great.
I'm Meg in Seattle, USA, and I am currently in my second year of my Master's in Applied Cultural Analysis.
Great. Mm-hmm. And both Bénédicte and Meg are the experts, truly, because not only have they done this themselves, they're also supporting prospective students who are applying to Lund. So they know very well what it's like. So let's go all the way back to when you guys were considering to study abroad or coming to Sweden. Why did you choose Lund University?
Yeah, I think I was... Based on my bachelor studies, so I was doing international relations. So I was interested in politics and peace and conflict. So I've heard of Sweden and Uppsala. And one thing leading to the other, I quickly did research and quickly found Lund as well. And the programs in Lund were also very interesting. There was not the political science program that I was looking for. There was maybe an option in it in Swedish, but I was looking for something in English. But then came development studies, which at first I felt, okay, that's broad, but maybe I could use this broadness to find my niche. And that, I think, made me apply. And of course, I read the description. The program director herself introduced the program in her words, and it just felt very humane while sitting on behind my screen in Mauritius. So it just felt very welcoming from a distance.
Yeah, I know a lot of people kind of choose like a degree that they want and then they go for it that way. But for me, it was similar where I narrowed it down by country. I was very fortunate. I went on a little Euro tour with my mom. So I looked at like Copenhagen, Denmark. I looked in Sweden. I looked at Lund and Gothenburg. I went over to Norway and looked at Bergen, went to Edinburgh. And it was actually when I stepped foot in Lund that I was like, yep, this is my spot. This is my place.
Wow.
I was like halfway through the trip, so the other places were nice too. Don't get me wrong, but it was definitely like this is where I want to be. And then once I decided Sweden for sure, and once I kind of narrowed it down to, Lund has a really great student city vibe, I started looking for programs, and my undergraduate was in French and Spanish, and I knew I already spoke those languages. I don't want to do it again. So I wanted to find something more general that I could kind of apply myself with. And I found the Master's in Applied Cultural Analysis. And Lund, I found, has like quite a few programs where they have open requirements. So people from different backgrounds can try something new. And so, I ended up getting into that one. I'm very happy.
Oh, great stories, both of you. So can you just give us a general overview? You've started already, actually, but what were the steps you took to kind of prepare your application?
So I started with a program webpage with all the details of how to apply, what to include in the application, the entry requirements, and I made sure that I met all those. Then I turned my eye to the deadlines to be sure to plan the application. So I think I somehow started early, something around October, November. I think the application period already started. So I'm like, okay, am I late? Well, let's get going, basically. And then I saw all the different dates on university admissions. And I understood that I had time, but I just need to start writing. I think there was a statement of purpose included, and just get the documents ready to be uploaded. So I think the two main steps would be taking time to read the program webpage and the instructions, and checking the deadlines in parallel to plan the application process.
That's some solid advice for you. What about you, Megan?
It was pretty much exactly the same. I'm a very organized person, and I actually had planned on coming here a year earlier than I did, but I took a step back and decided to work for a little bit longer, save up a little bit more money, which meant that I was looking at all of the dates and deadlines from the year prior. But one nice thing about Sweden is even though the exact date might change, like you have a general idea, applications open up in mid-October, they close mid-January. So even if it's, the 15th or the 16th, depending, you know the time. So I had that, and so I took a look at the program webpage for what sort of documents I needed to turn in, and then I took a look at the university admissions webpage to see the exact dates and deadlines for everything, and I wrote those down in my little planner, so I'm all ready to go with it. Wasn't going to miss a deadline. Yeah.
Were there any particular resources that you felt were helpful? I mean, obviously checking, the program webpage and the main deadlines, but were there any other resources that you used? Or
I think university admissions was such a big help. Because it just detailed the whole process, and it was just so clear to follow the steps.
Yeah, I definitely tapped into the external relations office a lot, which is nice because now, like Maria mentioned, Bénédicte and I have student positions here, so we're on the other side of things. But whenever I had a question, I could reach out to the regional manager for the states, and she was very responsive. And so even like with the little questions, she was super helpful. And for the more general questions, there's a more general form that you could fill out to get answers. And then on top of that, there's lots of different ways that you can connect with people around the university. So I personally reached out to the program coordinator. So those are always listed on your web pages. So any program-specific questions that I had about the documents, they were able to answer as well.
Yeah. Did you have any contact with student ambassadors or anyone else?
Yes. I always forgot, but so there's this Unibody platform. And I think my biggest concern from my perspective was what was development studies, just to be sure, and would my background in international relations fit? So because I saw there was something where you would be put into a major once you have your thesis, so later on in the admission process. But I reached out to an ambassador. Hey, there's this thing that I don't really understand in the program. How is it for you? Can you help me? And he was like, hey, I'm happy that you reach out. And it's nice that you're interested in the program. It's a great program. And I just felt more confident to apply.
Yeah.
So that definitely helped,
Yeah, I second that with the ambassadors. And Bénédicte and I are both LU ambassadors as well. So we're giving back for what we received. My ambassador from the MACA program probably got 200 questions from me. And now whenever I have people reaching out to me and they're like, I'm so sorry, I have so many questions, I always go, you don't even know the half of it. I was so bad before. But that's a really great way because, of course, when you're applying, there's all these questions about, there's the logistics, which Bénédicte and I already went over, of the dates and deadlines and what exactly you need. But sometimes you just kind of want to know, hey, what did you submit for your writing sample? Did you do something really over the top and fancy? Did you write something new? And then they kind of go, well, this is what I did, but you could do whatever you want. And it's just nice to see another perspective that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah, that's true for sure. What would you say was the most challenging part of the application process for you?
I think the trickiest part is to make sure not to miss any document because it's so easy. We're talking, 15, 20 attachments. If you want to have a complete application, it's just so easy to miss one thing. And then that disqualifies you, unfortunately. So many times I reviewed everything. So I left some time, I think, to check, to review the application once it was completed. So I didn't spend 2 months writing a statement of purpose, but rather tailoring the whole package of my documents and my presentation, basically, of who I am and how would I contribute to the university. So it was, all the small details that can hurt so bad if you miss them.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's maybe we're a little bit babied in the States, but I'm used to a lot of feedback. And so in Sweden, like when you turn in all your application documents, you don't actually get an email that says like, your application's complete, you're done, you're good to go.
Exactly.
So it is up to you. Like it's a very independent process where you have to go and look and quadruple check that, yes, I've uploaded my transcript and my diploma is there and it's from the universe. And like you really have to take your own reins and make sure that it's all good. And that was a challenge for me, but I overcame that by checking 20 different times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I didn't ask this before when we talked about your program, but remember now that when you apply in Sweden, there's obviously a chance to put backup programs. So if you're not selected or eligible for your main choice for some reason, you can add another few programs so that you have a backup. Just in case. Did you add any other backups? And if so, how did you decide how to have backups?
I did because I plan ahead.
fair enough.
No, but unlike Meg, actually, when I was listening to you, I never came to Sweden before, so I had very little knowledge of Sweden. So I think I ranked programs a bit randomly. So I remember Gothenburg and Umeå, which had programs in peace building that I was really interested in, but I really couldn't place them on the map. And much later when I got to Lund, because in the south of Sweden, I realized that Umeå was a bit closer to the Arctic Circle.
That up there, a little north.
So I think I chose very well. But I would say I ranked them, to your question, was the reason what motivated my ranking would be the content of a program itself. But I felt that Lund being so famous and established, I would say, it meant that the quality of education would be of a decent level, a very good level even. So that motivated me to put it a bit higher up.
Yeah.
And the ranking system, I think, is something really unique to Sweden. Yeah. Because, like, for example, in the United States, you have to put in and pay for a separate application for a university. So you're, $50 here, another 100 there. But for Sweden, it's like 900 crowns. And for your master's degree, you can rank 4 from anywhere in Sweden, 4 different programs, or bachelor's, I think it's 8 different degrees you can rank. And so I wanted to make use of that because, again, I wanted a backup. And I did originally plan to put Gothenburg second. It really does matter where you rank them because, for example, if I were to put Lund second and I got into Gothenburg University, that's it. Like, I'm in Gothenburg, my application to Lund is taken away. And so you have to sit with it and really decide what's most important to you. And another thing was both Lund and Gothenburg, for example, had global scholarships that you could apply for. And for the scholarships, you can only apply if you rank this university as your number 1. And so I really thought on it. And I sat there, and after visiting both cities, I was like, yeah, I want to go to Lund. If I'm not going to Lund, I don't want to go to Sweden. So I actually took Gothenburg off, and I only applied to the MACA program at Lund University, and I was very lucky to have gotten it. I didn't plan ahead like Bénédicte to have multiple choices.
Oh, it's really good that we got into this because this does cause some confusion. So just to really clarify to our listeners, we have a national application system in Sweden. So when you apply to a master's program here, or a bachelor for that matter, but there are other differences, you select the main program, the one program that you really, really want to get into, and then you can add other programs as a backup. But as Megan just explained, if you do get into that main program, the other ones are deleted. Yeah. So you really need to consider which is the one and only and the main program that you really want. And it is worth spending some time on and really ensuring that you made the right choice there. So if we go into a little bit more about the application process, and we're also going to talk a little bit more about documents, but was there anything that surprised you during the application process, or something that was like, oh, I didn't expect this, or this was something that was different than I thought?
I think the one thing that I was surprised, actually, with many things, the first thing would be that you can pay. It was the same fee for whether you apply for 1 program or 4 programs at the master's level. And I would remember my mom saying to me, even if you're on an exam and you don't know the answer, just put something because you thought here if it's the right answer. So that's why I kind of applied to the 4 programs in case I didn't get into my favorite program. But I'm happy I got it into. But another thing I was surprised was that you can use the same document for different programs because at different stages of the application process, the people reviewing your application can have access to the documents that you submit. So it's important to label the documents that you want to make sure, hey, look, this is for Lund, for this program that I'm applying, my number 1 choice. This is for my number 2 choice, so that you don't, in a way, sabotage your own application, because you can use the same documents or similar documents and you just unfortunately misplace that under the wrong ranked program. So yeah, I was happy that you could use the same documents for different programs, but that requires more careful attention to how you present it and label it.
Yeah, that's also a good point, because that's another thing I think that many applicants misunderstand. Like, okay, so I'm applying to, for example, my main program, and then I have 3 backups. And does that mean I now have to send all my documents 4 times and so on? And just to clarify that, so that we don't add to the confusion here, if somebody's in the middle of applying, when it comes to the official documents, such as your proof of English, your transcripts, your diploma, anything that is sort of an official proof that you meet the requirements, that you only need to submit once, because we will check it at the national level for all of Sweden. But then you need to submit the documents for your specific program choice if they require additional documents, which most of them do. And that's what you were talking about, Bénédicte, about labeling and making sure, because if you have chosen 4 programs and they all say, submit a statement of purpose, how are we supposed to know which statement is for which program?
Yeah.
And that should be written for each program. So that's very important to clarify, and we'll get into that next. But what about you, Meg? Did you have any surprises?
Yeah. On like a maybe US specific thing, the university admissions website, if you guys haven't visited it, everybody should just go look at it. It is glorious. It's so well organized, and it really breaks things down by country. And I was surprised by how much differs depending on which country you're coming from. So like something that I wouldn't have caught unless I had done my reading very well was I couldn't just like take a scanned copy of my bachelor's diploma and uploaded it. Like it needed to be sent from my university directly to university admissions. And so that was something that I was like, glad I caught that, which I might not have seen otherwise if I hadn't done my reading. But on top of that, it was the professors actually and the program coordinator. Like I mentioned I visited Lund, and I just was doing like a little self-guided tour around Lux, which is the building where my classes would be for that program. And I happened across one of the professors, and she was so kind and so welcoming. And she talked to me for like an hour about the program, gave me her contact, and said, if you have any questions during like the process or any questions about the documents, just like let me know. Same thing with the current students that were on like the Unibuddy app, or with the program coordinator when I was having questions about the specific documents. All super responsive, super happy to help, very enthusiastic. And that was just like it helped me know that I was making the right choice.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. That's great that you had such a welcoming experience during that time. And that's another good point that you mentioned, Meg, the country-specific rules as well, because that can be easily missed. I mean, you follow the general instructions, sure, but then don't forget to check what rules apply specifically to your country, because that can actually contradict the general instructions, and then they override them. So that's something that's very important as well. But let's dive into the program-specific documents just a little bit, because we mentioned before that the masters, in this case, that you are applying to might require additional documents, and most of them do. Mm-hmm. And these can be different as well between the programs, so it's not one size fits all. But if a program does require, for example, a statement of purpose, do you have any specific tips? Because many students are wondering, how do
you have a statement of purpose?
Yeah, I think I did. And I think I did for several programs.
Yeah,
I think the first tip is do not copy the same statement to the same university. You can, to different universities. So you can, try different things with different universities, but overall you can be yourself for sure, and just be honest in the ways this program is interesting to your research or the things that you would like to learn. So in my case, it was development. So I can't remember what I wrote, but I definitely spoke with my heart in a way. And I wrote about, coming from Mauritius, development is important, and I would like to have it from a Swedish perspective, for example. But it's really just the genuine reasons for why you would come to Lund. And that transpires when you write. You can see from a student, okay, they're speaking with their heart and they are genuine in their talk, basically. And that's a student that we want to have in the classroom, to bring a new perspective and to maybe share with others from their home country. So I think for my program, I would say that met the expectations of the classroom, and I would tailor my statement of purpose to the general outlook of a program. So reading the program webpage and Lund on the university webpage in general, just to have an idea of what is Lund.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know Lund, like me. So all that helps, I think.
Yeah. And I would say the program-specific documents are your opportunity to set yourself apart from everybody else that's applying. So, like, you probably all have similar backgrounds. You might have the same grades, but, like, this is your chance to show who you are. So exact same thing. Look at the program. Look at what they're studying. Talk about what draws you to this program specifically. And this is becoming more prominent lately, but, like, ChatGPT, for example, if you write your statement of purpose using that, they know. We can tell. Like, it's so obvious because it sucks all of your personality out of it.
Okay.
This is your chance to really show who you are, your writing style, and present yourself as a way to give something to this program, basically, and to enhance the experience, like Bénédicte said. So, yeah, don't waste it. Same thing, like for my program, we had a writing sample was a requirement, and I could have just turned in anything from my bachelor's because I was kind of like, okay, they just want to make sure I can write in English, I guess, but I used it as an opportunity, and I chose a paper that I had written that was like relevant to a subject that I wanted to study more in the program. So I think that combined with my statement of purpose really helped to show me as a whole applicant rather than just like a name on a piece of paper.
That's a really good advice. Yeah. And just as you both were mentioning, I mean, it can be tricky, and many students think that, I'll just write the best I can write. And sometimes they try to flatter the university. Oh, Lund is such a great university, and you're ranked at the top 100. And we're like, yeah, we know that, but who are you? So that was really, really good points there. I think that's very, very good advice. And speaking of that, is there anything else that you wish that you had known before you came? So if you had the opportunity to listen to a podcast like this before you had applied, would that have helped you? Or is there anything else that you wish you had known?
I mean, I guess something that I did know that I would recommend to others, those program web pages, they're there. And most of the time they're updated quite early. So just because applications open up, October, mid-October, doesn't mean you have to wait till mid-October to start on your application materials. You can start looking for your transcripts or ordering official transcripts from your university, especially if you're in a country where that's going to take a little bit longer. You can start writing your statement of purpose and your CVs and reaching out to people. Like, the process doesn't necessarily start when the official application opens. You can get that going months or even a year in advance if you want to. Of course, keep an eye on because things change. They do change. Sometimes there's new program documents and new requirements, and you should always look that up when it comes time to actually apply. But I think I applied, I think our applications opened October 15th, and I applied October 17th. Had everything in, I had it all prepared, I wanted it done, and that gave me enough wiggle room that by the time the document deadline came, or by the time it came time to apply mid-January deadline, everything was already done, so I wasn't stressing about it. I had planned it over the summer. So you can do that too. Don't wait till the last minute, because everybody does, and then it's going to be harder to get a response and harder to get the help that you need.
And there's one thing I realized a bit later in the application process, which maybe I could have known before, that would be to check the country instructions, but based on your country of study.
Yeah.
So in my case, I'm from Mauritius, so I studied my upper secondary was in Mauritius, but I did my bachelor's in Malaysia, at a British university. Okay, it took me a while to understand which country instructions to code. But then I read the guidance on university admissions a bit more closely, and it's mentioning the country of study. And I thought, okay, Malaysia, but it's a British university, so it has to go to the UK. But that being said, I double-checked Malaysia and Mauritius in case. The requirements was fairly similar, so it worked out well. But yeah, it's something to,
Very good tip, because that is also a question we get a lot. Like, but I'm from this country, but I'm studying in that country. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Your nationality doesn't matter when you apply, but where you actually studied and which rules to follow. Yeah, that's great. I think we've covered most of the steps here. Any final words from you? Anything you want to add to our new applicants out there?
Yeah, I think throughout the process, just be genuine. Don't, create a personality just for the application. It will not go well at the end. Just stay as you are and show that you're interested, and the interest will show for itself.
Yeah. And if you're thinking of applying, just do it. If the $90 of the 900 crowns is something that you can, even if you're just like, I'll just see if I get in and then decide, it doesn't hurt your application if you get in and decide, you know what, maybe not this year. You can just reapply the following year when you're ready to go. So if you're thinking about it, do it. Coming to Lund is one of my best decisions. And the application process after you get through it, when you look back on it, you're like, yeah, it was pretty straightforward, actually. You're just stressed in the moment, but it's worth it in the end.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Megan and Bénédicte. This was great, and a lot of good tips from you to our future Lund University students. And good luck, everyone listening who is in the middle of applying right now. And happy holidays to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Lund University International Podcast. If you are interested in learning more about Lund University, you can go to our website, lunduniversity.lu.se. You can also follow us on social media on Instagram, Facebook, and X, and you can chat with current students on Unibuddy. Don't forget to subscribe, and we look forward to bringing you a new episode very soon.